tips to improve on being the raddest, coolest, most respected RA ever. I think it's important, as an RA, push yourself. Whatever you did last semester, do it twice as awesome. Maybe even 3 times as awesome, 4 times as awesome. The reason you were put into this position is because you have an awesometivity factor. And your hall director wants to see that. I would strongly encourage not repeating a program. Because a program has been successful in the past doesn't necessarily it's going to be successful in the future. I think to really be able to get a good idea of what works and what doesn't, you can't repeat it. So pizza parties work. Movie parties work. Yeah. But to improve, you gotta dig deep. You gotta make stuff up, too. I did a service project. It was called No Butts About It. It sounds perverted. It was cigarette butts. I took my floor. We walked with trash bags, and we cleaned up every single cigarette butt on campus. There was a lot of butts on our campus. It was disgusting. I hope your campus doesn't have as many butts as my campus did. That program was easy to put together. I just put a witty name to it, and it actually got Program of the Year. So I really encourage creativity in your programming, and I'm sure your hall directors do too. It's pretty legit when you get a pat on the back for something that's creative and new and different. Anybody can do a pizza program, anybody can do a movie program, but how many people can do a butt program? Oh yeah. I would also say time management. Time management is huge. When you show your staff, your residents, and your hall director that you're on top of your own schedule, that you are able to balance everything, that shows a huge amount of maturity. It helps you so much in the long run. How many of you, show of hands, go ahead, have totally waited until the last minute to do programming? Yeah, I thought so. That's okay. That is okay, but when you have good time management, you're not hustling to the end of the month or end of the week to get programming done. It helps your grades. It helps everything. It just makes everything way easier if you have a schedule. So make sure that you have a planner or a calendar. A lot of you have your smartphones, which actually are capable of having calendars and appointment books. But it helps. It totally helps. Being outgoing. Sometimes when life throws you a hard ball or 2 or 3, our tendency is to, 1, be avoidant of our responsibilities, or 2, be avoidant altogether. And some of that is, not keeping your door open for your residents. Some of that is maybe hanging out with friends more so than everybody on the floor. You got to keep that in mind. You're creating a community. And in a community, everybody's voice needs to be heard, and everybody needs to feel a part of the community. You're the mayor. You're like a mayor of your community. When you when you show favoritism to some community members and others are left out, that makes the whole community not function correctly. When you are completely absent or closed off, that again doesn't create the best community for you. It's important to use your time management to be able to, yes, have personal time for you, but also be able to be outgoing and be there for your residents, as inconvenient as it may be for you. Being there for them is a huge part of being outgoing and doing part of the job as an RA. Balance. Let's go there. It's very important. And that's time management, that's personal time, that's kind of some of the things that I already mentioned. You have to balance as an RA. You have this job, an activity that you do, a club that you're in, but you're also a student. Balancing all of those things is key. Keeping that balance keeps this balance too, and keeps this balance too, and keeps everything balanced. Conversation. Conversation / personal mental growth. The more you can challenge a resident or like show them another side to something, that's another means of total improvement. Instead of yelling at somebody for drinking in their room, dump out the alcohol, I'm writing you up. Saying, you know, the dangers of alcohol. Letting people into your room that you don't necessarily know very well. Or campus policies, anything. Any type of education component you can bring to a scenario or situation is really good. I think it helps a lot of students, especially when you're looking for that friend RA balance. When you're able to take your emotion out of the situation that you're in and really show them your perspective of things, not in an angry way, a gentle and educational way, it helps. I'm not saying it fixes it, but to be able to say, you know what, Jenny and Penny, when you decided to bring in alcohol, it's upsetting and it's aggravating, but I also want you to know that I care about you, etc., so on and so forth. When you have that type of communication and it's not belittling or judgmental, when you have that caring, compassionate tone and an educational appreciation for the situation, it makes things so much easier when you're dealing with it later on. When you deal with the kid that gets all up in a tizzy and angry, they're going to be angry forever, especially if you respond with anger. If you respond with compassion or at least understanding and try to help them understand you a little bit better, it makes for a better balance, and that icy cold glare doesn't last as long because you're precious and wonderful. Probably the most important means of improvement is how well you do in class. That's the main reason you're there, and yes, you have a career in residence life, and that's important too, but you have an education to uphold, and that's for you. That's to your benefit. And to cheat yourself out of that benefit just isn't fair. You're not being fair to yourself there. It's important to make class time, homework, reading, all of those things that go with being a student a priority for sure. If you have to go to the library or somewhere, invite the floor. If you need to study for a test, find people in your building that are taking the same class. There are ways of overlapping being an RA and being a student. You do not have to separate them as much as you may think that you do. You can definitely do the same two things at the same time. We have what we call a study bucks auction, and that was started by Nan. Still doing it, girl. Work. The whole community gets these tiny little bucks. They're like Monopoly money, but we hand them out. When we see them studying in the lobbies, in their rooms with the door open, when we hear they're going to the library, when we hear they've gone to study hours for their athletic team, all of those things they get study bucks for. So they save up all of these little Monopoly monies to the end of the semester, and we have this huge auction with awesome prizes. Maybe you guys do that. Way to go if you do, but that's an excellent component of keeping your academic integrity for your position. The cool thing is about this whole academic integrity thing is if you study and you read and you do your papers and you go to the library and you get a 4.0 and you get on the dean's list and you get to wave your hand and be like, yeah, what? Your residents are going to copy you. They're going to be like, yeah, I'll go to the library with you, totally. Yeah, bro, dude, I'll share flashcards. Yeah, man, bro. I'll do it. And we'll both get a 4.0, and then you'll shut up about it, and we can play Call of Duty again. Like, totally. Yeah, it's good. Academic integrity. Academic integrity is like cheating, but whatever. Being academically sound as an RA is important. And definite means for improvement for everybody. Even if you have that 4.0, gotta maintain it. That's what I'm saying. You know what Nan always used to say? People would come into the lobby, and this includes me. But we would come into the lobby. Nan, I'm bored. And she'd go, oh, really? Do you have a 4.0? And we're just like, yeah, no. And we would go study. Encourage hitting the books, because that will benefit everyone on the floor.